Good morning, West Farms viewers. We got a lot going on this week. I'm pretty pumped. We got a high of 81 today. We got a pretty good looking week. There's a 50% chance of rain on Thursday, which also means there's a 50% chance that it won't rain. We got to stay positive. So today we are going to take this truck I'm sitting in over to Grandpa's to the shop. We're going to put new brakes on it because it's due for an inspection. So we figured we might as well fix that first, get it out of the way so we can start working on the planter, working on the sprayer, getting everything ready to go, because I have a feeling we might be doing some field work this week. Alright, so first things first, got to move the 43 out of the way, and then I'll probably sweep up this floor because we'll be rolling around on creepers. So we'll get that moved out and we'll get the truck in here. The 43 has some kind of leak. We need to get that figured out. When I was fixing that brake chamber the other day, I noticed that these brake shoes are cracking, which means it won't pass inspection. So we've got to get that fixed before we send it in. Got the oil draining. This filter's a lot easier to handle if you drain all the oil out of it. So I'm going to take a punch, poke a hole in it, drop the oil out of it. You got a ratchet? We got one wheel apart. Dad's headed to town to pick up all the parts for it. We had to get one apart so we could bring in the brake shoes, because that's the only way we know how to identify which ones to buy. But he's gonna go get new brake shoes and brake drums, and I'm gonna let this oil drain. I'm gonna run over to the other shed and tear a couple units apart on the planer, get the disc openers off, measure them, and see if they're in spec. So if they're too worn, we're gonna have to put new ones on it. And the dealer has a sale right now on planter parts, so we want to do that as soon as possible before the sale runs out. I'm also going to eat my breakfast. That is really tough to open. I might as well get this out of the way. I thought for sure somebody would have washed this by now. This planter is a 16-row corn planter, 31-row bean planter. We plant our beans in 15-inch rows. If you can see, the back rows are in between the front rows. So we raise these ones up when we plant corn and we don't use them. We just plant with the back rows. Then when we plant beans, we drop these down and plant with all 31. So that way our corn is in 30-inch rows and our beans are in 15-inch rows. So what I'm gonna do, take the gauge wheel off and get to these disc openers. These are what open up the trench to drop the seed into. These are supposed to be 15 inches when they're new, and it doesn't take them long in our sand to get worn down. I believe once you've got a 1/4 inch of wear on them, you're supposed to change them. So I'm going to take a couple of them apart and measure them and see what we've got. Dad just bought this fancy new toy, and I already stole it from him. Earthquake XT 1/2-inch drive impact. It's got a lot of torque. I don't know how much, but a lot. I changed the tire with it on a disc and it worked, so I'm gonna try it for this planter. So I've got one of them off. This bolt holds it on, and then there's a stack of shims on the inside because there's another disc opener that runs up against this one. So they kind of make a V to open up the furrow. This one's not quite as bad, 14 7/8. I'll get a couple more of them off and see where we're at. I've got 4 of them off. They're all 14 7/8 except the one, so I don't know if that's an accurate representation of the whole planter or not. I tried to take them off, 2 in the middle and then 1 on each end. So I'll have Dad look at them, have him make the decision. While I've got this apart, I can show you what we would be replacing. That seed disc mounts right here. They have a package deal. They'll sell you 2 seed discs. This, we call it a foot. It kind of keeps mud out from in between them. These 2 scrapers and a drive chain for your rower unit, which is right up there. So if we decide to do that, now would be the time to buy it because they're on sale. I'm pretty impressed with this impact so far. We are pretty big fans of Harbor Freight. Pittsburgh sockets, earthquake impact, and we've got that big 1-inch drive impact that you saw earlier in the video from Harbor Freight. Alright, so here's what we've got to do this week. Got to put the tire on that field cultivator. Maybe do some strip tilling with that tractor. It's currently hooked to the strip till bar. You can't see it. Get the 8400 over here, hook it up to the anhydrous bar. If it gets fit later in the week, we might be running some anhydrous. I'm really hoping it'll get fit enough. We've got to get our sprayer out. We'd like to start burning off that rye that we've got planted. Got to get the planter ready, which I kind of started on. We've got to get the seed tender out, get it loaded up with these boxes so we can fill the planter. We might have to change some sweeps on the field cultivator. Got some corn stalks that I need to disc from that first video when it was too wet. It might get fit this week. What else? I'm sure there's more, I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But for now, I'm gonna go back over to the shop and maybe finish changing oil in that truck while I wait for Dad to get back with parts. Should be all drained out by now. It is not fun to get in there where that oil filter's at. That is why we drain it, because this thing weighs probably 10 pounds when it's full of oil. And you gotta squeeze it up between the frame rail and the engine. Now we've got the new filter. It's gotta go back on. This is such a messy job. Got the new filter gasket lubed up. I just usually take a little bit of the used oil and wipe it on there. That helps it slide when you're spinning it on so it doesn't mess up the O-ring and you get a good seal. Got the new filter on, now I can put oil in it. It holds 44 quarts, so it's going to take a little while. Dad's back with the parts. Almost there. Ah, we went over. Got the brakes done on the back axle. Now we're going to change fuel filters. Got our filters changed. We got all of our brakes changed. Now we just got to put the tires on here. Every time I start to talk, the air compressor starts running. Got everything back together. Got the oil changed, got the fuel filters changed, got all 4 brakes changed on the drives. Now I'm going to back it out and take the power washer and clean up the inside of these wheels a little bit and clean some of the oil from off the frame. But first, I have to pick all this stuff up and take the jack out. Can't forget that. I don't think that's right. It's impossible for me to change oil in anything without making a major mess. Like this. And somebody hit the garden hose with the lawnmower. I'm not going to say who it was, but it wasn't me. So now I am going to put this back together while I'm waiting for a new end for the garden hose. This goes on the field cultivator. It's a gauge wheel, so I got to put this hub assembly in before I can put it back on. Got that back together. Now we're doing an oil change on the Ford. is a lot better. So Dad just took me over to get the 8400. Got grease on my face. I'm gonna take it over back to Grandpa's, and we're gonna hook it up to the anhydrous toolbar and go out on the sand hill and make sure we've got everything set level wise and depth wise and all that. So when it does get fit, we can just run. We don't have to worry about getting it set and wasting time. We're gonna go try that toolbar out. Dad told me to bring some tools just in case we need them to change anything out in the field. Gotta stay hydrated. Alright guys, that's going to be about it for today. We got quite a bit done. We got our brakes changed on the truck, we got oil changed, fuel filters changed, got oil changed in the Ford. Let's see, we got our anhydrous bar dialed in. I think we're good. We messed with the strip till a little bit. We got that kind of set. Might need a little bit more adjusting. We looked at our opening discs on the planter. I think we're going to run them one more year, save a little bit of money that way. They dropped the rain on Thursday from 60% down to 25%, but now there's a 25% chance every day this week. So I think tomorrow we might go out and try some anhydrous on one of our lighter pieces, and we're going to get the sprayer out and flush it out and make sure it's going to work so we can get that rye sprayed off. Thank you very much for watching, and if you liked the video, hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. That way whenever I post a new video, it'll pop up on YouTube for you. Tell your friends. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try and answer them. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. I gotta go home and get cleaned up because it's my wife's birthday and I'm taking her out to dinner. And I think she'd be upset if I went to dinner looking like this. What do you think?